what is going on, people of the internet? Welcome back to another awesome edition of GS Talks. Now, I know it's been a long time since either of us have been seen around GS TV studios, and there's a reason for that. We're tackling a lot of projects, me and Scott. We started shooting Holmes University 5, so be excited for that. The topics we tackled tonight are how does one get into Doctor Who? Now, I don't know anything about Doctor Who, but Scott does, and he's going to tell me all about that. And musicians that need to come back in. We talk about music and all that kind of thing. So more as the podcast goes on. Stick around. It's going to be a good one. And hey, be sure you enjoy yourself. Here we go. What is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to GS Talks. It's been a while. Scott, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, guys, gals, and everything in between.
There it is. Hey, so it's just me and Scott today. It's been a long time, and I want to explain that just for scheduling issues, that we've been tackling projects off and on. Not just me and Scott, of course, but Ben was away at another college. That's his thing now. He's always away at college.
Yep, and he's currently at the Seattle sport ball game.
Sport ball. Oh, Seattle Mariners. Go Mariners.
Go Marinara.
Right on. So, and Justin, who plays Sherlock Holmes in our short movies, Holmes University, is currently out of action. We were filming the last weekend of today, or a week from today, and we were doing a scene, and he injured himself, and he could not be here with us today. So we wish Justin to have a speedy recovery.
Yep, speedy recovery there, buddy. We got you. We got you covered.
We miss you. So let's plug our stuff real quick. Of course, your reviews, MP27 reviews.
Yep.
What was the latest movie you reviewed?
The latest movie I reviewed was Alien Covenant. It is pretty dang awesome. I recommend everyone check it out, especially if you're an Alien fan.
Absolutely. And don't forget to subscribe to GSTV Studios. I promise that top 5 SNES reviews, whatever thing is going to come out pretty soon here.
5 years in the making.
It's not 5 years. I promise it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's just, projects and whatnot. So, Scott.
Yep.
How you been, man? How is Holmes University going?
Holmes University, we hit that road bump with Justin being injured. He was injured during a chase scene. And he got injured, so we had to call shooting. We're gonna have to retool some stuff because injury was worse than we initially thought when he fell. We actually thought it was almost like a blooper. We were like, haha, that's
right.
funny.
And we do have it on film, and
it will make it into the gag reel just because it was that moment.
Right. And it wasn't even a really heavy stunt scene.
No, it wasn't, but it happens, it happens.
Yeah,
These kinds of things happen. This was our first, actual, he needed to go to the doctor injury,
we
though.
We left, took him to the doctor.
Yep, he went to urgent care.
Almost immediately.
Yeah, an hour later, took him to urgent care. He got his treatment. Everything's all good. It is going to be a slight delay on the project than we anticipated, though. So we're sorry about that.
But it's a good thing because we might actually get other projects off the ground.
Yeah, there's some other projects we're talking about. I'm just gonna say it right here. We've drafted up a 4 Chronicles script from back in the day, if you remember that. Our 4 Chronicles series. There's another installment that we're looking at exploring, and I think it's actually really great. And I'm hoping we can explore more into it.
And it's been about 5-6 years since we've had a quote-unquote installment in the universe.
Yeah, because those of you who don't know, we built our own cinematic universe of just these bizarre genre film type events that happen. And
it's mostly action sci-fi, right?
Yeah, I'd say action sci-fi genre, kind of like a supernatural thriller universe. And so that being said, we haven't really made an installment in a while because we've been busy on Holmes University and stuff. But you and me were kind of talking. We were like, maybe it's time. Maybe this is the universe telling us it's time you bring back. I mean, dear universe, please don't attack our cast members and injure them to get the point across. A light in the sky would have been just fine.
Right.
But it's cool. I don't know about you.
It'll be fun kind of revisiting old faces, old characters that we haven't played in such a long time.
Yep.
And so it should be fun, should be good, and keep your eye open for that on the Facebook page of Meteor Fist Films.
We also have another big project. We will be making the announcement within probably about a week to 2 weeks.
Big project.
A huge project. It's probably the most ambitious project we've ever done. We've been in development with like a year?
It's been about a year, yeah, probably around that area.
Yeah, we're getting ready to start the bulk of shooting, and it's huge, and we're going to make the announcement pretty soon here. Again, follow on Meteor Fist Films to really get the gist of that.
And did you change your Twitter handle to...
I changed my Twitter handle to Scott's Thoughts.
I'm guessing Scott's Thoughts was already taken.
Yes, so I added a Z to it to make it more hip, and it works.
So follow Scott on Twitter at Scott's Thoughts with the Z.
Guaranteed I'm going to fight with somebody on Twitter because that's just what Twitter is for. It's a nasty place now.
And be sure to follow GSTV Studios. We have a Twitter. We never use it, but it's there in case you want to just have a free follow. But feel free to follow me. Rockin' Chris. I think it's just Rockin' Chris.
I think it's Rockin' Chris 64,
Is it?
actually.
I don't know. I'm on Twitter, but I don't ever tweet, so whatever. Anyways, let's get down to business.
All right. I don't actually really know the topics we're discussing because we kind of threw out like 500 topics.
Yeah, we might tackle all of them, but let's start with, I want to get into this real quick with you. So, Doctor Who.
Yeah.
You're a big fan of Doctor Who.
Yes, I am.
Half of our cast is a big fan of Doctor Who.
I'd say more than half.
It's just basically me. I know nothing of Doctor Who. Now, you may shoot me with arrows or whatever you want to shoot me with. I don't know what it is. I couldn't get in. I never gave it a chance even, so that's not fair to say I couldn't get into it. I don't know if it's the right show for me. Now, I want you, and for maybe those at home, sell it.
All right. Those of you who don't know, Doctor Who is a show about a time-traveling alien who lives on Earth. He takes people, like ordinary everyday humans that he thinks have the ability to expand their mind to the idea of they can travel anywhere in time and space and go on adventures and essentially help make the universe a better place by going and just solving random, not necessarily crimes, but just righting wrongs per se. And it's all about that and their adventures or misadventures at times.
Misadventures. All right. And Doctor Who's been going for about 50 years?
54.
So longer than James Bond. Wow.
Yes, it has. It is the technically longest running science fiction show in existence.
And it has all kinds of media outlets, books, comics, audio, movies, and it's all canonical.
From what I at least from what BBC generally claims, all of it is canonical. So if you hey, I really like these characters, I want to see more, you can go and find more on those characters, and you will find that these canonical stories of them, and you can get more, and that'll actually broaden your horizon on the TV show. Because one of the beauties of it being on so long is a lot of these characters who are adults back in like the 80s, if you go that far back and watch that far, their characters' kids and their real blood children in real life are actually sometimes on the show.
Really?
Yeah, and so it's like they bring in it's a generational thing now, that it's almost like there's characters that exist and they've been there and now their kids are there, and it's like it keeps bringing itself. It's all about change and renewal and continuing to refresh your life.
Right on, right on. Now, there's been 13 Doctors so far.
Technically 13, yes.
So, technically, what do you mean by technically?
Well, there were 12, but they needed to work their way around a mild problem one of the showrunners made, who's actually, that showrunner is stepping down now. So and it also started because there was an actor named Christopher Eccleston who was stubborn about returning to a role, which you and me in the film world know that there are times that actors are very stubborn about returning to a role. So they had to explain it by essentially saying, oh, there was another doctor, which gave them that many. So they had to sort of not retcon, but they had to bring in a character that we never knew of before.
So, speaking of which, I'm sure there's been, because I'm sure the main 13 have not necessarily been in all the media that's out there. Like, as for example, the audio, do they actually bring in the actual actors?
Yes, all the actual actors come in
okay, I
for
was
their
gonna say.
characters.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that helps make it feel more believable with canonical stuff is they bring in the actual actors. And then if, let's say, one of the actors has died, which there have been many who die, they bring in impersonators and they make sure the impersonators actually are extremely believable to the point that you wouldn't know the difference. And that doesn't happen as often, though. But
it does happen.
It does happen every now and then where characters tragically die. John Hurt as an actor recently passed away. Rest in peace, John Hurt. And some of the older actors, John Pertwee, whose son Sean Pertwee is actually on the show Gotham as Alfred.
Oh.
And so they
poor Gotham.
Yeah, poor Gotham. But that's beside the point.
Sorry, yeah.
They bring in sometimes those characters if they want to tell older stories like that. And it's just a really cool vibe because you get this whole it's like a communal feeling, like the whole community is involved because you get these authors and comic book artists and audio drama people.
Right on. Speaking of audio dramas, would that be something you like to pursue in the future?
Yeah, actually. Well, you and me have talked about it too, so I'm glad you sort of brought in that question there.
You see where I was going with that.
Oh yeah. I really actually want us to do some audio dramas, and basically we're set up here like we are now and sort of do the whole story and tell, and for even Holmes University, and bring in Watson in here and bring in all these characters and just sort of see where we can go.
It'd be fun.
I think it's a fun new avenue we've never really explored before.
I think it's kind of it's not so much undiscovered, but it's not as popular audio dramas or just audio in general.
In America, it's not as popular. Yeah. It's still a little bit more explored in the UK than it is here. But it's one of those markets that could easily boom. Like, for example, right now, Big Finish. So for those of you who want to get into the Doctor Who audio dramas, Big Finish Audio is their name. They just announced some of the most popular characters in recent history are going to be audio drama-ing together for like a whole season of audio drama.
Right on.
And it actually broke their website with the level of pre-orders. So it's one of those things that it's like it's growing, and it's growing pretty rapidly. But yeah, it's like bring in these popular characters, bring them back, bring them in more. And a lot of these, since people naturally age, you don't see the age when they're there.
Right, and that's perfect. And I think the way that people usually. This is not basically for everyone, but I don't think audio dramas are necessarily for everyone.
They're not for everyone.
But like if you're like, if you have long road trips and you just want to listen to something and you want to hear a story, I think that's the best way to do that.
Oh yeah, well, and the level of immersion it puts you in is really nice because I commute oftentimes like an hour plus to get where I need to go. So I'll just throw in an episode of the audio dramas, and you all of a sudden it's like the sound swells around you, and it's like you're in this world.
And staying on kind of topic, I think podcast is the more popular format of that.
Yeah, which actually there are audio drama podcasts.
Are there?
Yeah, there's actually a thriller one right now, like about like the White House kind of being taken over by some like evil people in the background kind of thing, and it's like a daily podcast, and it's just like a daily. And
it's live.
Episode.
And it's just like
oh,
that's awesome.
Yeah, they bring in a whole cast, and they're just there.
I love to do that. Be like, hey.
Yeah, they're like, hey, the White House is being taken over right now. We got to have this meeting in this back corner. And it's like, but
if you listen to audio dramas, that's how it basically is.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's oddly immersive. Like right now, when you see us on camera, it's kind of dorky.
Yeah, but if you're like driving or if you're listening at night and you just want something to fall asleep to, but you're still like immersed and you're listening, it's the perfect way to do that.
Yeah, and I had like, for example, a Doctor Who one I was recently delving into called Doom Coalition, and there was a spot where it was like this university being taken over by like a creature. And this creature, you would hear it in the walls and everything, and then when it comes out and they're like, hold on there's a creature, and you hear like this kind of thing. It was actually very immersive, and I was like, whoa, oh man, stuff's going on while I'm driving.
I think that'd be very fun to pursue audio dramas. I think we've had a lot of fun with it.
I think it would. I personally wanted to do one for a while, ever since I started delving into the audio drama world. And that's where moments you hear people who don't listen to the audio drama say in like Doctor Who, oh man, wouldn't it be great if this character came in or this character came in? I'm like, they already did. It's called the audio dramas. And they're canon.
And it's canon. Now, speaking of canon, I'm glad you said that because I actually remember the topic I want to talk to you about this one time. And this is just not about Doctor Who. It's anything in general. The word canon,
yes,
is oftenly overused or underused or whatever.
Sure.
So like, is it because everyone can like have their own canon. So is canon really important?
Canon. All right. So what I think the phrasing you were looking
Yeah.
for is people are still trying to understand what canon is.
Yes.
Canon is what the official creators of the of whatever program it is as officially in their timeline.
This is a bad example because I know you hate Star Wars, but like everything expanded universe was basically non-canon anymore.
Yeah, they've
and
negated
now they're rewriting the canon.
Yes.
So but there are still a lot of people like me who read like some of the books. That's considered some of the books that haven't been touched yet in that world.
Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, like Shadows of the Empire, I consider to be canon no matter what, because it's
sure.
Does that matter?
No, because to the people who make it themselves, they say this never happened. They retain the rights to the characters, but this never.
But
happened.
to a fan or even a reader or whoever of that media.
But that's the same thing as like a fan fiction. The story can matter to somebody. For example, remember that Half-Life short film Escape from City 17 I showed you? We're talking like over 10 years ago now.
Still good effects.
Like, yeah, it's not canon, but to me, that is a very important YouTube short film. I still know it's not in the lore.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. It has nothing to do with the main characters, I don't think.
No. And
but
so
it happens in that world, and it's believable, but what you're saying is it's not canon. It never happened.
It's a bad example, but Alien versus Predator is non-canon. So
is it actually?
Yeah, the Alien versus Predator stuff is considered non-canon. Some of the comic books and books are actually considered close-ish to canon, which if people are like, well, what does close-ish means? It means to some people who make Alien property and some people who make Predator property that it should be.
But it's not.
But it's not officially declared canon. The Alien versus Predator movies, they've already said, yeah, no, this is not canon to the Alien or Predator timelines. But as weird as it is, Alien and Predator do exist in the same universe.
That's weird.
It's just the crossover never happened.
So we touched on this in a couple of podcasts ago. You said you were geeking out about it, that they were going to do a Rambo and Predator movie.
Oh, I wasn't geeking out. I was worried the hell out of that.
Oh, really?
I didn't want that.
Oh, I thought you didn't want it.
Oh, I did not want it at all because I thought it was a dumb idea. I thought that is a forced crossover. I mean, that's like, well, Freddy versus Jason makes sense, but that's like all of a sudden being like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a crossover with like Die Hard and Star Wars.
Well, we already talked about crossovers in the podcast. That was a whole.
Yeah, but it's still that same thing.
Right, okay.
That's where my concern came from.
Right, and then that kind of ties into the canon or non-canon as we kind of discussed about it. But lightly touch on it. Comic books with superheroes. There's so many different universes out there.
Yeah.
There's so many different canon, non-canon. I don't even know anymore what's canon, what's not canon.
Well, superhero universes do a really good job of saying like this is its own universe. So they've delved into parallel universes. So like it's canon for that universe, but not like the main timeline.
So how many comic book lines? Let's say, for example, Daredevil has probably like 5 comic book lines of different canons.
Easily.
Spider-Man's have probably like 10 different canons.
But
one of the canons from that could fit with one of the canons from that.
Yeah.
And mix and match.
Yeah, and some people have tried their best to piece them all together, and the truth of the matter is they don't line up. They never will. That is the problem with. If you ask me, that's a huge problem with comic book universes. As somebody who loves connected universes, I mean, we made our own universe.
Right.
I love connected universes before Marvel really went
overboard with it.
Ape poop with universes.
I'll just bleep it.
That's where I take issue is that they make it way more complicated than it should be, especially in comic book worlds.
And you said also in a couple podcasts ago, I'm sorry I keep referencing that, but that you were excited for the Cloverfield.
Cloververse, yeah. Which, by the way, they're going to probably premiere a trailer for the next Cloverfield installment in a couple weeks, titled God Particle or something of that title. And Cloverfield 4 is rumored shooting right now.
Jeez.
Or its code name is Overlord. And it's going to actually be in World War II. So
how does that work? That's not a sequel.
But it's in that universe. And so it could be a whole bunch of things. But the rumor is that it's about almost like extraterrestrial beings having influence in World War II. And to me, that sounds fascinating. But God Particle, or / Cloverfield Particle, Cloverfield 3, that one is going to be about a space station. So it's going to be like one of those isolated space thrillers.
Are there too many of those?
No, I don't think there have been enough
Because,
recently.
like, what was that one that had, not Bradley Cooper, Ryan Reynolds in it? And,
Life?
Yeah.
Life was spectacular.
Was it? Okay.
Life,
But, like, I feel like there's a lot of movies that take place in space and they're isolated.
yeah, because, I mean, in all
That's like the
reality,
new thing right now.
it's been a thing forever
Well,
because
yeah.
space is terrifying. If you think about it, one wrong move and you're dead. One hole, like the way Carl Urban in Star Trek puts it, is one small hole in a hull of a space station, your blood boils in 8 seconds.
Jeez
Like,
Louise.
it is a very delicate matter being in space. It's terrifying.
Don't want that.
No, we don't want that. So it's one of those things that I love the idea of a contained space thriller, especially because space has been a heavy emphasis on the Cloverfield universe.
Real quick, before we go to commercial, would you want to do a space-type thriller contained...
If I could afford it, absolutely.
Oh, there's ways we could get away with doing it, probably.
There's ways, yes, but if I can have the resources to do it, I would do it in a heartbeat because I think it's a fascinating subject matter.
Right on.
Which also Life, if you guys haven't seen it, go see
yeah,
Life.
absolutely. I saw it. It's amazing.
It's terrifying.
It's amazingly terrifying.
It's something that could be close to on par with John Carpenter's The Thing. I am not going to say it's on par with John Carpenter's The Thing, but it is one of those films that people who of a younger generation don't know of movies like The Thing will have this
It's
movie.
like it's in that type of that genre.
Very much
now,
so.
real quick, keeping it current is the segment. Scott, what are you currently into?
There is a book series by an author who's actually proofread a couple of our scripts. And the first book, called Dreams and Shadows, is his book by C. Robert Cargill. He's a really cool dude. He also wrote Doctor Strange and Sinister. He's spectated over some of our scripts. Yeah, and he's a cool guy. And I really love his properties. I've also been reading the Alien books for keeping up with Alien Covenant, and by Tim Leben, Out of the Shadows, is spectacular, and it's terrifying. But also with music. You were giving me a hard time. New Kids on the Block has a new EP out, and I'd say probably like 4 out of the 6 songs are pretty fun to listen to.
4 out of 6. Huh?
Yeah, 4 out of 6, which is more than many would probably expect.
Keeping it current with me, I've been playing a lot, and Scott knows this, a lot of Overwatch.
Oh yeah, that's been fun.
I kind of put Battlefield 1, which was my favorite game for a while, kind of sidelined it for Overwatch, and it's the game to play right now. So if you have a Xbox or PlayStation or even a PC that can run it, definitely play Overwatch. I got Scott into it.
We've been playing the crap out of Overwatch.
It's
when we can.
fun team shooter.
It's a MOBA.
It's a team shooter with MOBA elements.
First-person MOBA.
And if I can give a quick little dab in music too, definitely I'm loving Paramore's new album right now.
Oh, that's right. They do have a
Paramore's
new
new album called After Laughter. Please go check it out. It's a definitely new sound, new direction they're taking. But that's how I love. We're going to touch on that actually when we come back as the next subject. So stay tuned with us. We'll be right back after this.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. Criminal record says I've broken twice. I must have done it half a dozen times. I wonder if it's too late. Should I go back and try to graduate? Criminal record says I broke in twice. I must have done it half a dozen times. I wonder if it's too late. Should I go back? Try to graduate? Life's better now than it was back then. If I was them, I would have let me in. Oh, Spock. Oh, God, every memory of looking out the back door. I found the photos of the bedroom door. It's time to say it. Time to say it. Goodbye. Goodbye. Every memory of looking out the front door. I have that vision I was looking for. It's time to say it. Time to say it. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye.
What is up, people of the internet? Welcome back after this short break. We're here with Scott, chatting it up on GS Talks.
Yeah.
Now, what we left off, we were talking about music and Paramore's new album, and we're going to tie this in with the new, what am I saying? New topic. I can't think what these things on. All right, so After Laughter is the new sound that Paramore's going after. The lights are flickering. You notice that?
Yeah, it was a little bit weird.
But there's construction going outside. If you can hear it, bear with us. I feel like bands today that have been around for like 20 plus years, kind of like how Paramore's, they're around that area. They've been around since 2005. So what, 15, 17 years, whatever. 20 years, I guess. Yeah, it is 20 years. Holy crap. I feel old. That's 10 years. What are you talking about? Anyways, I can't count.
First came around.
Bands need to change their sound and style to stay relevant, and I think
Sure.
that's what makes a good band, where they can stay relevant by still being contemporary.
Yeah, there's still occasionally a few bands that don't change their sound that just keep lasting.
Like AC/DC or
Nickelback. And Nickelback kind of polarizes some people, but in all reality, you hear a lot of people talk crap about Nickelback. They still sell like a crap-tillion albums every single time, so someone's buying them.
Some 100 to 1,000 to 1,000,000 people are buying it. But like what I was trying to get at was like bands like, let's say, that kind of fizzled out because they didn't change. A good example for who had stayed contemporary and relevant is Aerosmith. They've been around since the early 70s and still, well, their last album wasn't that great, but they're still trying.
It's like no one knows the fact, like nobody remembers the fact that Journey came out with an album a couple years ago and they tried a new sound, and seriously, I think I'm the only person who's listened to it.
So that's the other thing too. When bands or artists go a different direction, it's a coin flip. It's definitely a coin flip. Well, I think again, Paramore is going in the right direction because they still have the same sound, same style. They're just like involving it.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be kind of a controversy, but I think emo music is dead.
Oh, it's so dead.
So, has been popular in about 7 years. Sorry, people.
That and punk are really dead.
I
think punk's pretty dead.
Yeah,
it's not
it's
what
definitely,
it was.
Yeah, you're definitely right. It's definitely not what it was. It's
like early 2000s. That was
was the punk era.
Yeah, that was what, and like for example, certain artists have come out with like a more punkish sound to them, and it's just not worked.
Right, everything's a little more, and you hate me using this term, it's a little more poppy these days. It's kind of the direction it's going.
I'd say it's a crossbreed of dance and like 90s pop.
Yeah, definitely. Let's touch on Beyonce's new album.
Beyonce has a new album?
Well, I mean, the one that she had most recently.
Was that the one with the black and then the pink Beyonce?
I think so. It was definitely a different sound for her and didn't work, except for her extremely loyal fans, which is like half the world, so whatever.
I never listened to it.
Well, it wasn't that great.
I'm not a Beyonce fan.
So let's transition into, because I want to tackle this, musicians that need to come back that we haven't heard from in a while.
New Kids on the Block. Although they actually have done pretty well. They were #1 on YouTube trending for their new song One More Night from this EP. So they're doing all right.
Hey,
I
go
guess.
check it out. I'm not gonna listen to it.
You did today, sir.
Because you made me, sir.
Yeah.
Now, how about I can't really think of actually many musicians that I want to come. Oh, freaking I would want All American Rejects to come back. They've been touring for like 10 years now and haven't made a new album. Not 10 years, but it seems like it.
They, an artist I'm thinking of, they were a lot bigger in like 2009 or 10, but now they've kind of just sort of fizzled out. They're still making albums they sell. It's just they're not what they were, and that's Thousand Foot Crutch. Because Thousand Foot Crutch had like Phenomenon, they had Rock Fist that was on every sports game. Throw up your rock fist and you're feeling it.
Were they around like in the early 2000s too?
They were around in the early 2000s, but they really hit it hard in 2008, 9, and 10. And I still pick up their albums, and they're good. It's just that all the songs have started to sound the same, so they've kind of fizzled.
Speaking of sporting events, I meant to say this at the beginning. Congratulations to the Seattle Thunderbirds.
Hell yeah, the Seattle Thunderbirds of the WHL, first time in 40 years, have won their championship.
Now, what is the WHL?
WHL is minor league hockey. Which those of you who have the privilege of having a hockey team in your state that's NHL, congratulations. We have minor league hockey here, and the Thunderbirds are our local team. They're ironically not in Seattle,
They're in
though.
Kent.
They're in Kent, Washington. And they, 40 years, never had won a championship. 40 years on the dot, they did it. And they're off doing a super special champions-only tournament called the Memorial Cup. Go Thunderbirds on that one.
Thunderbirds. We were supposed to go to Game 6. We never did.
We were supposed to go to Game 6.
It sold out, and then it was unsold out, then it was sold out again, then it was unsold out, then it was sold out one more time.
That was an emotional roller coaster of trying to buy tickets.
And Scott knows that I've never really... I liked hockey. Mighty Ducks 2, man. That's my movie. But, like, I wish actually now, after, like, watching that one game, is that I wish we had an NHL team. I don't want the Thunderbirds to get overshadowed, but I do want an NHL team.
Personally, I've watched the Thunderbirds since I was like maybe 5 or 6 years old. So to me, I'm perfectly content with the Thunderbirds. But I would like an NHL team. I feel like it might become... This is going to... Well, because I know you're a fan, but I'm going to... Bear with me here. It's going to get Seahawks-atized.
Go for it.
Where everybody's magically become a hockey fan. Which, sure, great. Bringing in new audience. The Thunderbirds did that when they moved to Kent.
Seattle is definitely a hype city.
Yes. Which the Seahawks, holy God, are an irritating level of hype. Because it's like, oh yeah, I'm a Seahawks fan. It's like, yeah, you've been a Seahawks fan for about 2 days.
It's also Sounders, too.
The Sounders as well, where all of a sudden everybody became like a soccer expert overnight. And
nobody cares about the Mariners, though.
The whatever that baseball team is. Does anyone watch baseball anymore? Anyways, now that I've pissed somebody off, I just want to say that what I'm also talking about is the fact it's going to be like, oh yeah, $300 tickets. Nobody's really going to be able to go to it except for like all the lawyers who go to work and that kind of stuff, which sure, rightfully so, they work hard all day. They deserve a sport ball game.
But the thing is, too, I would love to see like the Rangers play here and,
yeah, like classic
teams like that.
teams.
Yeah, classic
like,
teams.
Well, and for those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you a history lesson. Never expected that on GS Talks.
Scott's history lesson.
The first Washington State and Washington State championship team was not the Supersonics, like a lot of people who only pay attention to a couple sports do. It was actually NHL. We had an NHL team called the Seattle Metropolitans. They were also the first American hockey team to win a Stanley Cup against a Canadian team because that was Canada's sport, and Seattle did it. And that was the first one to do it, but we lost that team. I think they're a different team in the NHL.
Yeah, they probably
now.
went somewhere else.
Yeah.
So this has been Scott's history.
Yeah, that was my history lesson. That is my one thing, because it irritates me when people are like, yeah, we need the Sonics back because the Sonics were the first team to win a championship.
I do want the Sonics back, just to have an NBA team again.
I couldn't care less.
I know you don't care. Scott only really extremely cares about hockey.
Sport ball-wise, hockey and tennis and fencing are my only sports I care about.
He's very classy.
Yes.
Even though,
yeah.
yes, even though hockey's not that classy.
Oh yeah, I scream for people to kill each other in it all the time.
I've never seen. It's so exciting because he's not a sporty guy.
Well, yeah, because a lot of the sports that are around here you don't normally see, so you don't get to see that side of me, which you did when you went over to watch the Thunderbirds play.
Which was fun.
Yeah, it was a blast, and
I was just like, "Hey Scott, what are you doing tonight?" He's like, "I'm watching the Thunderbirds game."
The Thunderbirds. Love me some Thunderbirds.
But getting back to the topic, we went way off topic.
Wow, we did.
I'll have to subtopic that.
Sport ball.
Sport ball. Actually, I kind of want to stay on sports for a sec, since we're so different to sports.
Sure.
I know you don't like the Sonics, you don't like the Seahawks, you don't like anything football, basketball, baseball, golf.
I liked playing basketball. I could not care less about the NBA.
We actually played basketball for 2 years.
Yeah, we did when Chris showed up.
Hey, I was in a different city, sir.
Awkward. Hashtag Chris doesn't sport.
Oh, that's not fair. I did play baseball for 12 years, though.
I played baseball for a while.
You didn't like baseball.
I don't like baseball. I think it's one of the most putridly boring things to do.
It's definitely, well, that's your opinion.
I mean, you could sleep through baseball.
Watching baseball, yes, I have to agree.
I'm talking about playing it.
Playing is fun.
Left field sure has its action. I played catcher, by the way. So it's not like I was the guy who was shoved in the outfield. I was, and those were douchebag coaches. But no, generally I was a catcher, and I still think it was putridly boring. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to go to a lot more hockey games.
Hell yeah.
When does the new season start?
I believe September.
Oh, right around the corner. Right.
Yeah, it's not too far out.
I feel like Washington State kind of gets shafted when it comes to anything sports related.
How so?
Not in terms of championships or anything like that.
The fact that they lose all the freaking time?
Not that.
Except for my boys, the Thunderbirds, they did it! And
the Sonics and the Seahawks. But that's beside the point.
And the Seahawks got way more credit than they deserve.
Fine. But like,
especially now with the fans
we were supposed to get a NASCAR racetrack. We never did.
Oh, that's right, we were.
Yeah,
that would have been fun.
I used to love NASCAR. Not so much anymore.
We have horse racing, if that really counts.
Count. It's not the same thing.
It counts for horse racers.
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I like to just bet on horse races.
Well,
but
I know you do.
Yeah, we were supposed to get that NASCAR track.
I think it was supposed to go out in Bremerton or something like that.
Something like that. And we were supposed to get. We're still off and on. They've talked about it for over 10 years about a new basketball and hockey stadium.
Which I know you're indifferent about it because of taxes and all that nonsense.
Yeah, people don't. I'm not going to give you an economics lesson, but in all reality, people don't realize how lack of profitable sports really are. People right now are probably like, no, because the shirts and the jersey. No, it actually is not. It's a more expensive thing to run than you think.
Right. But if it ever did go through, hypothetically, it'd be a nice arena. I've seen the concept.
Yeah, the concept
it definitely
arena
beats the Key Arena out of the hole that it's in.
Because the Key Arena was a really stupid thing.
I like the location of it. I just don't like
the arena sucks. If any of you have had the displeasure of watching any kind of sporting event in the Key Arena, it's they built it for one purpose and anticipated nothing outside of that. It's a terrible place.
But it's in a nice location.
It's terrible to listen to concerts there.
Yes, it is. I've actually learned that the hard way myself.
I told you when you were going to it. And because the way the corners are, it does not bounce sound at all. So the sound just kind of gets trapped in corners. It's terrible.
That's coming from sound guys, too.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Now, back to topic. Let's, besides musicians that need to come back, how about what musicians do you think are worth listening to right now?
Well, the one I'm going to always say, which is Blake Lewis.
Okay, yes.
Blake Lewis is an incredibly talented person. His music is fantastic. He has an album that's actually 3 years old, I believe, to the day. Portrait of a Chameleon. If you have not heard it, you should absolutely go listen to it. It's been 3 years. And
by the way, he's a local boy.
He's a local, and he also watches our stuff. So there you go.
Season 2 American Idol?
No, like season 9 or something like that, or 7. Yeah, 7, sorry. And American Idol's been announced as coming back on another network. It's going to be on ABC now. And Blake Lewis is impartial about it. He's like, it feels kind of forced.
Yeah, it does feel forced because I feel like The Voice is the show to watch.
But now. It was like it was an era thing, and now that era is gone.
It died about 5 years ago, honestly, and they just been kind of dragging along ever since Simon.
cowl left.
Yeah.
But again, if you have not heard Blake Lewis's music or have not heard him recently, go listen to the album Portrait of a Chameleon. It's one of the best produced albums. He made it out of his house. Except for the song Your Touch, which was on that. You probably saw the ad. It was the Microsoft ad for that tablet thingy, and it played the song Your Touch. That was on it. That's Blake Lewis. He's great. And you should just listen to him. Any suggestions from your end?
Not that I can think of it off the top of my head, but besides what I said already, Paramore. I'm outside of like just traditional artists that are have big labels. I've been listening to a lot of more of independent stuff that haven't been signed, like
Sure.
stuff on YouTube. Nothing I can think of off the top of my head though.
Oh, I got one.
What?
That artist that when we were on a film shoot, the singer who did the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, he's a YouTuber, Peter Hollins. Hollens. Peter Hollins is a really talented musician. He covers a lot of music, but he also did an album that was all the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit music, and it's incredible to listen to. I love his stuff.
It was very beautiful.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. Real quick, because we heard the news yesterday or the day before, Chris Cornell.
Yep.
Rest in peace, buddy. The way I discovered him was actually through a movie called Casino Royale, which I think is it's probably my favorite Bond song. It's like
It's the
definition
best
of the
one,
Bond
if you
song.
ask me.
Yeah, it's just very powerful, and I've listened to his stuff since then because that's how I was introduced to him. I didn't know he had a band called
Soundgarden and
Audio
Audioslave.
Slave.
That's how I listened to him, is because my dad was a huge fan of that genre of music
The
growing up.
grunge music.
Yeah, so I heard it all the
Yeah,
time.
and
in
I was
the
super
house.
into it. And it's very sad. Depression is very again, we can't keep talking about this. A lot of famous people seem to be taking their own lives, and
Yeah, that kind of thing.
so if you have depression, please let somebody know, let somebody help you. You're not alone.
And you should post the link on the end of this video on YouTube to the contact for the suicide hotline.
Absolutely,
So in case any of you are in that position, get help.
absolutely.
Don't be embarrassed to get help.
No. All right.
And I'm like, that was an awkward
That was our
silence.
PSA for that. Before we were almost out of time. That was quick.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Wow.
Wow.
That's from Owen Wilson.
Yeah, that's like a Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Speaking of depression, Owen Wilson does suffer from depression, and he almost killed himself.
Really?
Yeah, it was before he made that new film, No Escape, that me and 5 other people watched.
Going Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an awesome movie.
Great movie. But he is suffering from depression, and he almost killed himself a couple times.
So please, again,
Yeah, and so Owen Wilson, if you're watching this, we love you. Don't leave. Also, because I've been watching the Mummy movies, Brendan Fraser has pretty much been diagnosed with depression. He kind of brought it up once in an interview. Brendan Fraser, if you're out there,
oh, I love
here
you,
for
man.
you.
I absolutely love you.
you're one of my favorites. I was so mad when they announced that Mummy remake, and it wasn't Brendan Fraser. I was like, how dare
Right,
you?
right. You can't do that without Brendan. That's his movie series.
It is his movie series.
I
And
hope he comes back. He's been trying to come back in a big way, and I hope he continues to keep coming back.
He was in a TV show recently, and he did a really good job. I actually know one of Brendan Fraser's siblings.
Really?
Yeah, through my grandparents' baseball team. And I was like, bring Brendan Fraser on out here. Let's get him in one of our movies. Let's make him a
Absolutely.
teacher in Holmes University.
Why not?
Yeah, so you know what? Let's start that campaign here. We need to start it. Let's bring Fraser to GS Talks. Let's bring in the Fraser.
Well, that's a different. Fraser's Kelsey Grammer can't make it.
Well, yeah, no, he's
I know.
busy.
I know.
But Brendan
Fraser, man.
we love
George
you.
of the Jungle.
Yeah, exactly. The Mummy. And actually, I'm in the minority. I love The Mummy 1 and 3. I hate Mummy 2. But, again, I love you, Brendan Fraser.
You hate Mummy too.
I think it's bad.
Oh.
I love 3. And I found out I'm the only person who likes 3.
I'm indifferent. I mean, I don't hate it. I'm not in love with it as much as the first and second one.
You know what would be great, actually, is the post-credit scene of Mummy. And, all right, Universal, if you guys see this and you decide to take it, I want royalties or story credit. But all of a sudden, Tom Cruise is doing his thing because we presume that he won and he's going on. And all of a sudden, you see, like, this sand dust thing out in the desert appear. And someone flies through it, and it's Brendan Fraser. And then Brendan Fraser looks up and sees Tom Cruise and goes, I hate mummies. And then you hear like a roar and Brendan Fraser pulls up his pistols and goes, here we go again. And then credits. Boom. Brendan Fraser.
I don't think they can do that because it takes place in a different time frame.
Yes, but like a time rift of ancientness. Ancient technology.
Or just reintroduce his character and with the reboot.
No, but like you bring in a time portal because like there's portals.
Time portals are the answer to everything, Scott.
But, apparently, that's too far fetched. But yeah, we can have a freaking mummy turn into like a giant dust cloud. Oh, so yeah, you know what? I want royalties, Universal, because I think you should take that idea. Make Mummy Fraser again.
Mummy. Hashtag Mummy Fraser.
Make Mummy Fraser again. Let's do it.
Jeez Louise. All right, well, before we start wrapping up here, Scott, are you excited for any movies coming out pretty soon?
I already saw Alien Covenant. So God Particle / Cloverfield Particle / Cloverfield 3, whatever they're going to call it. I'm anticipating that. That comes out on my birthday, by the way, October 27th.
It's like it was almost meant to be.
Well, when they delayed it and they were like, they're delaying it, I was like, J.J. Abrams knows that I literally bug Bad Robot's Twitter almost every single day about Cloverfield. So I'm sure he's like, crap, we're going to delay it. And that guy, Scott, is never going to live it down. Delay it to his birthday. It's a birthday present. So I'm hyped for that. I'm not really hyped for pretty much anything else this year. I'm Wonder Woman looks all right.
I don't care for Justice League.
I mean, I'm probably going to have the same reaction Batman versus Superman.
Let's not go down that road. Real quick, are you excited for any games coming out? Like, let's say...
Actually, the Call of Duty World War II one.
That looks pretty good. I'm glad they're going back to the roots, even though it's not the original studio, but whatever.
Yeah, well, it's the people who do Dead Space. And I love Dead Space. Yeah. But they've also screwed up half the Call of Duty games that have come out recently.
True. Do you remember Call of Duty Ghosts?
Yes, we remember Call of Duty Ghosts. We remember Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare. But I'm trying to think of any others. I'm not really... Oh, the Sonic game.
The Sonic games, both of them. I'm super excited for Sonic Mania.
And then the Sonic, the Create Your Own Hero one, if it has a title.
Sonic Forces.
Sonic Forces. I'm excited for Sonic Forces.
Which sounds like an 80s TV show.
I know, right? But I'm excited
What's
for
that Lord of the Rings one?
Oh,
Shadows of War?
The Shadows of Mordor, Shadows of War, I believe it is.
That looks amazing.
I love the Shadows of Mordor game. That's one of those things lately I've forgotten all the games that have come out.
Right.
Because I don't know, to me that just the game industry's really suffered the past couple years.
It has, and I hope E3 sparks some sort of
completely
the Battlefront 2 looks good too as well.
And I don't like Star Wars, and I like Battlefront.
Right. Take us back to our old days. All right, so with that, we're going to wrap up. Scott, thank you for coming out. I know you got to go catch the new Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to miss Doctor Who's episode tonight, Extremis.
BBC. All right, this has been another edition of GS Talks. Hopefully when we come back, the whole crew will be here. Ben and Justin, I hope you're out having a fun time, Justin.
And I can't wait to bring on... The big announcement.
Let's just say hint. No.
I can't even hint.
No, you can't even hint it.
We will say, though, how about the hint is, it is a web series. We're shooting for 6 episodes.
6 episode. 6 episodes indeed.
And hopefully, if you guys like it, we'll renew it for another season.
Rewatch the podcast. All right, anyways. Scott, thank you for coming out. We're going to do this again pretty soon. This has been another edition of GS Talks. I'm Chris. This is Scott.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys next time. Later. What'd you say?
That's my thing at the end of my reviews. I go like and subscribe.